Okay, I set up the mic. All right. So let me adjust this just a tiny bit. Okay, so let me start again one more time. Welcome to Asylum Atelier. Welcome to Creative Discourse. Welcome to this improvised studio that I'm here right now in the Imperial Academy in St. Petersburg, which I'm trying to finish my diploma painting. I'm going to be working on this today, or continue working on this painting today as well. And for those of you who are watching this periodically or are familiar with the channel, this is more like a shared space, digital shared space for artists that work alongside each other. I am trying to provide as many commentary and as many points, as much information as I possibly can about how to go about when working with compositions and these kind of creative ideas that you would like to communicate with to another people. It is not as easy as it might sound, as it might look. And actually, well, let me rephrase that. Let me retract that back. It actually is not that difficult to talk about it. No, that's the wrong thing as well. So let me take that back one more time. I'm trying to put together appropriate sentence that would describe what I'm trying to achieve here, or what's the idea behind the channel. It's more about that creative discourse that I am convinced that it's something that helps me and that helps create a better works of art. That means that instead of you just watching this video and expecting to get better with the craft, I encourage you to actually join me on this journey to discovery and grab some creative tools that you use. Either it's a digital medium, might be a sculpture, might be a pen and paper, and you can write something. It's all comes together, as a creative expression. And my medium, it's oil paint, so I'm working with oils. But it does not necessarily mean that you cannot join me if you really use a sculpture, because the principles are extremely similar, if not identical. Also, I talk a lot in terms of maybe philosophy, or I would say abstract ideas that I'm trying to communicate. And really the questions are mostly abstract, and answers might be abstract as well. But then seeing whether these theories are working, I personally can only say that the answers, the practical answers, are actually in process of painting and eliminating. You can see me repaint things, move things around alive on the canvas, because even though I have already all the sketches, I'm using them as my references. The only way for me to be 100% sure if the idea, if the concept, if the construct in my head works is it's to put it on canvas, in my case, paint it there and see whether it works together as a harmony, and if it actually communicates the idea that I want, the feelings perhaps for some of us, or in some cases rather. So that's what it is. 95% of my work, especially with canvases of this size and subjects this the amount of figures and stuff that it's included. It definitely is trial and error, I guess, a lot. And I'm kind of going through that very quick 3-step of evaluation, or 3 steps of adjusting my painting. And then first step would be abstract art, second would be impressionism, and third would be naturalism. And then I'm trying to rinse and repeat it. So whenever I feel that I went too much to naturalism and it's starting to fall apart, I'll just stop myself and go back to abstract, and I start painting the abstract shapes and thinking about the composition and whether or not it works that way. You can see that some areas are kind of placed and I haven't moved them for a while. Some are completely shifted and changed on this side. Some of them still waiting for the adjustments. And then, today I'm thinking about to go a little bit more into detail because I would like to actually bring again another step, a little bit more of that naturalism to the painting, to see what else needs to be done. And if I don't like it, I can again scrape it, repaint it, move it left and right. The other reason why I want to start working with the details, because I have to prepare this painting. This is my diploma painting. I have to prepare this painting to be exhibited, and it's going to be judged by my peers. That means that the school, the professionals, the different departments, everybody is going to be present. They're going to ask questions. They're going to judge it. They're going to, voice their opinions. And one of the goals is to present this painting not only from a point of view, oh, he knows how to paint the figures or he knows how to paint the portraits. It's more about also what else is there in the painting. Because, painting a nice looking figure does not necessarily mean that the figure is going to communicate, it's going to talk to us, is going to give us that, a feeling of, the emotion perhaps. And we know this because we have abstract art that it's extremely emotional. We have impressionism that gives us just these fleeting moments in time. So what I'm trying to do here is to get you a little bit, even though this is a classical painting and the setup is classical, I still want you to think of this as just a placeholder for an idea of a journey. And this is also part of my journey that I had here in the academy, and also a journey for me in terms of that education, that knowledge. And that happens to be a priority, the main focus of my diploma painting. It's that the journey and difficulty, but how important it is to bring that education, and how important it is to be educated, because I think that that's something that it actually solves a lot of problems, even in throughout the history. It brought a lot of problems, but it also solved a lot of problems, and also it gives you that freedom of use your brain not only for that, kind of a generic functions, but also maybe go slightly deeper into thought. And I really do think that painting and art in general has some traits of philosophy there. And not only that, this is kind of my way of communicating with a viewer. Because language is not my forte, I would say. So I prefer to use these tools to communicate with other people. And also I found that pictures are kind of a universal language, so it's easier for me to communicate. Easier. It's not easy. I don't want to say that. It's just I think that it's more versatile tool for me to use uh, um, than than other ones. But someone might think the same way about the music. Someone might think the same way about sculpture or you know, name your own way. Digital painting, perhaps, right, or digital sculpture. Movies, perhaps. You know, it's just there is a plethora of expressions that we have these days that we can communicate with others. So this one is the mine. This is the one that I like to use. This is the one that is most natural to me. That visual kind of a storytelling, and this is a story about two monks, or a group of monks rather, traveling from Constantinople, which is at present Istanbul, um, um, to the country where I live right now, or not right now, where I was born, to Slovakia, which was then, it's 1800, 800, I'm sorry, not 1800, it's 863 year when they actually arrived to Great Moravia, or Slovakia, where I live right now. And that kingdom was a combination of Czech Republic, Slovakia, bits of Hungary, bits of Austria, and if I'm not mistaken, probably bits of Poland as well, maybe a little bit of a Germany. So it was a like central part of the Europe, a very strong kingdom. And they brought us language, and they brought us our own alphabet, which was based on that region. And with that came enormous amount of important education, because the moment that you are able to actually read and study in your own language, you already overcome the first difficulty to learn another language in order to start actually studying. So it was very, very important. Also, the second, or for depends on which angle you take. Even though this is looks like a religious painting, not necessarily. It's not necessarily the primary focus of mine. It's just as they used to do throughout the history, using these powerful stories that everybody is aware of. And you might not be aware of this only because this is a kind of a local. Local story. It's a true event, but it's known locally in Slovakia. Everybody knows about them. It's Kirill and Methodius, two famous um, uh, uh, what would I call them, linguists, I guess. Um, they were extremely versatile in terms of languages, and they actually set up the cornerstone, or the first grammar structures, and they created the first alphabet for people from that region, you know. So that's what I'm trying to say, that I use this as a placeholder, this story, to show how difficult it must have been to come to a completely different country, to completely different environment, because they were from Constantinople, from actually, you know, present Istanbul rather. And imagine that distance from Istanbul to where Slovakia is right now. It's a couple thousand kilometers away. Through the land that it's not like today that you have a road. So it was really difficult, it was challenging. They had multiple stops on the way. They brought not only gifts, but religious artifacts with them to show their legitimacy. And also what I'm trying to say is that there was a important moment, because this language that they created happens to be fourth language that was allowed to be used in a church, which was completely unheard of, because it was only Latin, it was only Greek, and Hebrew. There was the only three official languages that were allowed to use. And the language that they created. I think it's called in English Hlaholika. I believe it's the official term. Later on, it was Cyrillics. I guess that's how they call it later. I'm sorry for my mispronunciation of these terms, because I'm not really sure what's the English equivalent to this. Anyway, that's not that important. Important is that after a long journey and a lot of hurdles that they overcame, they were successful, and then that brought enormous amount of education, books that were translated, and it just started the whole a culture actually flourished because of this. And it's we used some of it to these days. Some of the countries still use idea of that language, or maybe some, not even the parts, but some elements that, of course, that language is evolving. We can't use the same language that we used more than millennia ago, right? So but they all started it. That's what I'm trying to say. The long way, as always. Okay, so that's about a little bit of a history. I like to remind it now and then throughout the stream, because some of you might just join in right now. And this has been, I've been working on this actually for a long time. It's going to be, it's more than a half a year. This was in the process. I have a different variations, and I talked about this more in detail throughout the stream. So if you're actually interested in knowing more and the process, and I'm going to be continuing with another project. So there is a lot of projects that I have scheduled in the future. But if you're interested in this particular one, there is a library of videos that I have that I uploaded on YouTube, so you can check them out there. So yeah, let's get more into that detail, and let me start with something that I immediately saw when I look at the painting with the fresh eyes. I haven't been here yesterday. I wanted to let the painting do its magic. The pigments are going to set a little bit, and I can already see some of the goodness happening here randomly that I want to use to my advantage. I see this beautiful kind of a scratchy feel. I kind of like how this glares and goes out, but still doesn't fight with the background. And I think that I should probably move this into background a little bit more. So I'm going to let it disappear into a distance, into atmosphere, because I want these figures to go a little bit more forward. That's something that I mentioned yesterday. I also solved the big problem. You can see, like, I repainted these figures right here, and I repainted this because the problem was with the angles, not necessarily with atmospheric perspective only, but also with linear perspective. So that's something that changed and shifted. I'm starting to see little nice happy accidents here in the pathway as well. So that's kind of setting up nicely as well, starting to work together with this. This is all still very wet because I used a lot of pigment. And then also I mentioned that this guy, it's probably not in the right spot, because from here to here, it's the same distance that from here to here. And he's kind of being in the middle. So I don't know what to do. Perhaps I'll adjust the figure here to kind of create a slightly different shape, so it's not going to be so centralized. That's something that I might look into this. And then I have to start working on this guy right here, because he deserves a lot of attention, because he's closest to us. And right now he doesn't look that way. So that's gonna, again, move that composition into a certain in another stage. Yeah, but before that, I would like to place a little bit more, I would like to do a little bit more here, the attention push here, because this is, right now, this is the last piece of puzzle that I have. And I said that this is going to be a last piece of puzzle, but because of this starting to feel correct in the space, I like the motion that's happening here. And I was keying this towards the figure that was here, and then I realized that it's not working the way that I want to, so I had to repaint it, and I have slightly different idea what to do here. So let's maybe look into that a little bit more today. And I believe that perhaps another figure here, push this a little lower, perhaps, so I have that motion that it's rising up, because I want to see that gesture of that composition going up. Maybe that it's not necessary. Still, I can always paint it in, and then if I don't like it, I will just scrape it away. So no harm done. No harm done there, unless it's unless, no, that's not the right word. I think that the only problem is that I'm not sure if I have enough time to finish it. But we will see. It's just not. It's not the end of the world. I can always, change that by covering it with the background and push it into the distance. Okay, then another things that I want to do, I want to start placing ornaments on the book, because that's going to be an important part, and really hit this. This hand has to be top notch. This is the main hand, and this is the main hand. These two hands, they need to be really, really nice. And when I say nice, I don't mean detailed. I mean they have to give you they have to give you most of the information. And then the secondary focal point, it's going to be feet. So I have to push them. Those are the details that I need to get there. Another thing is I need to put more detail into this little box, because that I choose to represent a they carried a remains of a saint or some saint artifact of his, and I have to double check the details of that, because there is a lot of information, but none of it is, I don't want to say correct, none of it's confirmed, and we have very little information about that. So I'm still waiting for some research to be finished on my part, to make sure that I have at least a little bit of information. And if not, I'm just going to consider it as that those are just the parts of his remains in that box. I know that it looks small, but that's not, these are symbols, these are images that should represent not being one-to-one. This is not photorealistic painting. First of all, we don't have photographs of them. We don't even know how they look. There is nothing written anywhere about how they looked, what they were wearing, what they were carrying. We have very little information about them, but that's good, because there is a space for us to to imagine these things, and to put our own creativity into and participating into creating this story. So let me go into it, and I think that maybe I should start with, let me see. One thing that I want to do is to create a nice what would be the word? Nice kind of a nice flow of these banners that they're carrying. These are no banners. These are more like a religious art again, religious symbols. Um, and they had a different ways of carrying them, different, it was just and you can go into a really deep rabbit hole in terms of searching for these things, and then you realize that, oh, we don't really have, again, a specific way or certainty about how it's supposed to look and how it was a long time ago, because we don't have that many that survived. Okay, just give me a second. I'm sorry, I had to just jump out and move it a little bit higher up, because that was actually Ilya Zorkin here, but he came with the whole family, and they have a little one, so I don't want to expose them to a camera. So it's they just did a quick stop. They wanted to say hi. They are listed. The whole academy is open. All the studios are open. All the studios ateliers are open for public, because we have these end of the semester super large exhibition going on right now till the end of the weekend. So yeah, he gave me a couple pointers, because he's the one that I really enjoy discussing compositions, and he's probably the only one that is really interested in painting multiple figure compositions, same as I do, with the little with the historical subject matter. Then it's translated into a modern idea as well. So he actually mentioned that he kind of likes the progression. This needs to be resolved a little bit more. A little bit more information here, and as I was thinking myself, this needs to be calmed down a little bit, because right now it's like all the attention everywhere, and if you have if everything is sweet, then nothing is sweet. If everything is salty, nothing is salty, right? So I have to work a little bit more with that a balance of active and passive areas. So yeah, so this is the most active part, right? So these have to go forward. These figures needs to go into the background, and then we have this again. I feel that this needs to be adjusted a little bit, as I pointed out multiple times. So yeah, but let me go back to what I was working on first here, and that's this area right here, to build up, to change this a little bit, to find something that's happening. And also I'm talking about working here, but working here does not necessarily mean that I'm going to be that tunnel vision. I'm just going to paint here a little bit, little figures, little portraits. It includes this part as well, so I need to work on every section as it evolves. So let me see some of these ideas. And it starts with that shape right here. Maybe if I move this direction, it's just going to start working little better. So let's see if I can push that a little bit more. And then he mentions that's something that I need to do to show the distance. So there has to be something that I have to find here to show the distance of land. And this is very important. This is why painting these subjects, like multiple figure composition, outdoors or indoors, it doesn't really matter. This is not only about studying how to paint figures. You have to know how to paint landscapes as well, and you also need to know how to paint still lifes. Because when you think about it, everything that is behind them, it should be a beautiful landscape. Everything that they are holding, and the organization and the way how it's described, and the clothes that they have, and the draperies, that's a still life. And then we have the figures, and then we have a portrait. So that's why when you think about multiple figure composition, these kind of a historical events, or maybe allegories, or whatever, fill the blank, are the most valued, is because they include everything. And usually it used to be that hierarchy, that it was a multiple figure composition, then it was a figure portraiture, then it was landscape, and then it was still life, right? So, or actually still life, landscape, figure portraiture, and then multiple figure compositions. And that's how we actually progress with the studying here. We start with very simple portraits with the specific size and the still lifes, and then we go to figures, and then multiple figure compositions. And then, during the summer, our work doesn't end. We don't have a summer break. We go outside and we paint outside, and then we have a kind of a landscape sessions, and we go for these long trips. And when I say long trips, I mean month and a half, 2 months, depends. And then we are also graded on these landscapes, right? So our semester is like, you have a winter semester, you have the first semester which ends in January, and then we have a second semester that finished just right now in at the end of May, and then we don't have a summer break, but we have a 3 months of either we do copies or landscapes. We go either into forests and do more like a forest landscapes, or ocean seascapes, depends on the year. And then you can do cityscapes when you get back to a city again. So, and then you present everything at the beginning of a year. So there's again the whole like the master of the atelier and his assistants, they're just going to evaluate your work, and then you present it in front of a group again for further evaluation. Then you receive a grade from that, and then you start your next year. So it's kind of a, I mean, if you really want to make it challenging for yourself and excel in every area, you have really very little time to spare when it comes to this. Okay, let me maybe grab a charcoal perhaps. I think it's going to be a little better for me to use with this, because I'm thinking this could go this way. Maybe even cover his head perhaps. Yeah, and then be like so here, and this could go actually behind, and then maybe third one right here. So it has that overlap, and it kind of helps that gesture going there. Maybe it'll be too much, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it doesn't need to go that much. Maybe I could make it slightly less aggressive here. Put it there, and maybe I could add a little bit of so it could go this way right here. One. one section. Maybe put it this way, so it's kind of a waving a little bit in the wind. And then also I was thinking perhaps we just push it a little bit into a background. Oops, that's still extremely wet. Oh yeah, nice. To create a little bit more of a texture there, and it's going to be like it's going to feel like it's a glare right now, so it's shining too much, but that's okay because it's just a it is a reflection. Maybe I could push a little higher here because I didn't like that the angle. It was kind of a too steep of an angle. Yep. Maybe it could go even more. I could maybe push this. Here. And maybe I'm going to do a little bit of variation in chroma. A little bit variation in chroma. So I could actually show touch of volume there. And also I would like to show that there's a now they're going to slightly different directions because it's a This could be made out of, not could be, it was made, I believe it was made out of cloth. Or fabric, maybe, would be a... a little too dark, I think. So instead of maybe a little bit more, warmth to it. It's going there and behind. This one is right here. And then I could be catching a little bit more of that background right here. Let's maybe give it that angle. Let it go. We're also going to, this is our ad break. Let me also start actually working on that. Another icon that could be right here. Maybe give it some different shapes. So this is a center right here. Maybe smaller. Maybe get a little bit more of that kind of a, you know, randomness. Right, and maybe into it. Where's my Okay, we had that quick ad break, and these ads are actually designed to help me make sure that I take a, little breaks in between painting. And the reason is because, well, the main reason is to make sure that I am not skipping on that important part of painting. It's just a step away from it, making sure that I'm not in that tunnel vision. Maybe I should scratch this one a little more. Because it seems like it's too much forward. So I scratched it a little bit, okay, and right now I could actually push a little bit into a background by cooling it down. Using the same principle, so I am trying to make sure that everything that is in the background and recede into background, it's slightly cooler rather than warmer, right? So a moment, I'm looking at this. This is the closest to me, or actually, let's do this. This is the closest to me. This is the second, and this is third, right? And the reason is because these people are, going up the hill, so they are higher up in the hierarchy of the slope, so they are closer to me. So this is going to be most pronounced. The variety of a saturation or chroma and the detail, it's the highest. But I am going to, because this is a smaller, right? So it's going to be less visible detail than this one because it's bigger. So I'm going to put a little bit more detail here, perhaps, if I so choose. And then this is the least amount of information that we're supposed to see, right? So I am pushing it with first I scraped it down a little bit to make it less pronounced or less put together. And then right now I'm putting a veil of or layer of lighter value. You can see like this is super light value, but it's a dry brush on top of it. So somewhere is catching the pigment and somewhere it is not. And I'm trying to create a feeling of that this recede in the background because it's kind of starting to match the value or chroma of the background. So it feels it's further away from us, right? So I'm trying to create a hierarchy in terms of atmospheric perspective as well. And then if I made something so large right here with a dark pigment, there's going to be a lot of information. That's why I chose something that it's lighter. And then I can maybe start suggesting a little bit of something happening there with my desaturated pigments, perhaps like creating some shape inside, just a little bit, barely visible, right? Like it's a frame within the frame. Like this. And this is barely, I don't think that you can even see this on camera. I doubt that you can. But I am kind of, with my eyes, it is possible for me to see the little shift and change. And that's important. This is not this is a painting to be seen live, not through, it's not an Instagram painting. And when I say Instagram painting, I don't mean to be, disrespectful or hateful towards Instagram, not at all. But there is a different way to present your work when it's being posted online. And the good example is, we have a different understanding of of sorry, I was scraping. There was a Rembrandt's book under it. I don't want to destroy it. We have a different understanding of let's say, people that are presented on the cover of the magazines against the people that are presented in, let's say, TV, and the people that are, presented on the runway show. These are completely different setup when it comes to lighting, and the experience of a runway show is completely different than the TV. It's completely different than magazines. In magazines, you can see a lot of reduction, smoothing, and the adjustments and so on and so forth, to the point that all the faces looks very flat, because we're looking for that shape in magazines for sure, because those are designs. Whereas here, I want to create more and more of the roundness or illusion of three-dimensional space. So I'm adding details. And when I say details, that's again might be a little misleading, because detail does not necessarily mean that I'm adding more information, that it's getting smaller and smaller and more detailed. When I refer to detail as I'm adding more information on the canvas that will hopefully, in theory, improve a richness of a painting. And when I mean richness, I don't mean that it's just, I spent, 3 tubes of white and 5 tubes of yellow ochre. No, it's more about the richness of the visual experience that you have when you're looking at this painting. So that's something that I'm interested in. And you hear me talking about the richness. So that this would be the little better or clarification of what I mean by richness. be lighter. When I'm painting this particular part right here, the white kind of a banner, believe it or not, I'm thinking about that famous cathedral painted by Claude Monet. And it is strange because you might think that, oh, why don't you use a reference of another banner? Well, because that's only one part of it. Like, looking at another banners helps me to navigate through shape, but then the way how to describe something that is something that is in influenced by every possible or impossible reflection, been depicted best by Monet, I think. Claude Monet. When it comes to these, well-known painters, and they are known and well-known and celebrated because they pushed it as far as they could, I think, at that time. So let me maybe, what if I push this a little darker here to find a little bit of better shape? Yeah, it looks better right now. It's just, these are really minuscule adjustments, and I know that you can barely see it. I can barely see it myself, but this is exactly that detail that I'm talking about. It's not just putting actually a more information there, but rather refining existing one. And another thing that I've really enjoyed about Manet and Monet and Impressionists is that they really didn't use lines. And actually, like, no, it's not only about them not using lines, but I think that it's most visible in their paintings how much they avoid a line as a division and rather value or shape that it's connected or disconnected. can hear a lot of people moving back and forth on the staircase. Let me get a little bit more detail there, perhaps. That halo effect. So I'm slowly building up that icon, and perhaps I should have moved this. So let's scrape it when it doesn't belong there. I just scrape it away because it perhaps should be. This is the center, so it should be a little bit more. Oops. Here, perhaps. Yeah, a little bit more here this way. Okay, and then darker value behind it. Shape it a little bit better. So again, these are the details that I'm adding. But you would hardly call it details. These are just improvements, like you said, incremental improvements of that painting. Because you might think, oh, this is not important, and yeah, I'm aware of that. That's not the important part, but I think I'll have to change the position for rotate canvas a little bit, because I think I'm again painting it under the angle because of a reflection. So let's see if the other side's going to reflect a little less. Yeah, but better. Okay. Maybe you could have that lighter area right here at the bottom, a little bit more pronounced, even lighter. So it could actually start here. something lighter in the background. And I'm going lighter and cooler, believe it or not, because green, it's slightly cooler than the yellow. Plus, I want a little bit of a but it's not as cool as blue background or desaturated background, right? So I'm adding a little bit more there. So you can see that it's slightly different. Maybe I can cool it down a little bit because right now it's very close to a, or desaturated rather, not cool it down, desaturated, or make it less chromatic so it still feels that it's green, but it doesn't feel that it's going, that's protruding forward as much as the icon in front of it. And also it doesn't look like it's part of a, so it's not grass there. It's another icon that we see just a little bit of. So you remember I mentioned, I was talking about the mosaics, and this is the idea of why I'm putting these little elements together, and then maybe I could enhance that with a little bit of red, just to show that it's something different behind. But again, it's desaturated red. So you can see it, but when you step back, you'll be like, oh, okay, there's something there, but it's not really, it might be a little too much. So I'm going to knock it down a little bit. So you'll be like, oh, yeah, it is something different. Maybe a little bit more, I guess not red, because that's going out too much. Maybe I overplayed that, but I think that purple could work there. Because purple still has a little bit of red in it, but it's not as far from sky, and it's not as far from green, from green, yeah. Yeah, okay, purple is the name of the game, little lighter one. See, and this is something that, you know, if I were yeah, way better. If I were in the level of late Claude Monet, I would have the library in my head of these adjustments, and the combinations would be better organized. No, what I'm trying to say, it would be, I would be able to see or actually make the decision quicker and with better accuracy. So let's see if this is going to work here, because it feels like it's too much information. So I want to unify it a little bit. So it doesn't, yeah, better. There could be a sky behind that. So let's warm it up a little bit. So I'll show. Little corner catch. Catching a little bit of light there. Okay, so they're starting to look a little richer. Cool. This could maybe go blue instead of yellow. So it's still there, it doesn't, okay, yeah, better. Nice. So then, and then a little bit of that land behind. Because I want to show that. That it's curving around and behind, and it's showing a little bit of, oops, I'm sorry, that was my bad. Okay, yep. And then one, it's in front of another, so this could actually go slightly darker. Right here. A little bit more of that. More of a background here. And maybe just a touch of information, like if he's holding it this way, like so. Just to show a little bit of that, you know, the angle. So it doesn't, you know, intervene with the, and right now it goes down here, but maybe it should be bigger. When I say bigger, I mean a little bit more thickness to it. And the reason why I went more thickness because I want to make sure that it's different than this right here, right? The size, volume. And maybe it doesn't have to go all the way. Yeah, it's not going all the way to the ground. He's holding it midway. But right now it looks too short. His head, his arm. Let's see. Let me just get rid of this. So I have the shade done. Okay, a little bit more of a the background to push it even more this way. And then maybe just a touch here. Yeah. And then let me get a little bit of clarity here, so like a little lining. But lining, it's not about I'm creating a line there. So I shifted a hue slightly, the edges, so it creates kind of a feeling that it has a thickness. And maybe I could do then a little bit more here. Okay, and then more of this. Okay. That might be overkill, but that's okay because I can always push it back if needed. And then also this could go. Into a background. Cool. Okay. So I have a little bit of that, a little bit of this. I'm looking at angles. I'm looking at the size, proportions. Yeah, I think it's going to work. Yeah, I think it will. Okay, then right now I should probably add a little bit more detail. Perhaps what would be cool is to actually put so as it goes behind this, it's going to be a little bit blocking a little bit of light, so I could actually put lighter areas here. Like so, a little bit here and a little bit here, so it shows that it's going behind. Again, not with a line, but with a bit, not with a line, but a little bit of value shift. I'm sorry, not value shift, but temperature shift. So it's cool against warm. Yeah, this is a little too much, so let me just go back, make it. So it has a little bit of transparency. I can still work on that, but that just my goal is not to, push it too much. And then maybe on top of this here, I could do a little bit of, again, it's catching a little bit of light, a glimpse of light right here, which gives me a little bit more of that volume against what's in the background, right? Maybe even more, like let's maybe push it super saturated. might be too much, but again, I won't be 100% sure unless I actually place it there. To bring it on one side. Okay. And then a little bit here to get rid of this. I need this to go away. That's too much. Okay, cool. So I'm trying to, again, make that you can see it, but you can't really exactly point out where it starts and where it ends. Or rather, where is the background and where's the the little piece of that? Where's the sky and where's the little pole that's sticking out? So I have to push this one a little bit more into background, just a touch again. Yeah, perfect. And add and I'm keeping it almost the same value. I'm just adding way more saturation, right? So value-wise, we are almost on the same, not almost, we are at the same value. Cleaning it up a little bit. Okay, a little bit more. Just a little bit. Okay. Nice. A little bit of here. it's getting a little bit more feel of that. It's an icon, so it's a little bit more reflective because it has more. I don't want to say gold, but the gold, you know, it's called gilding. It's like a gold leaf on top of the wood. So it looks, you know, richer. Okay, so I have that positioned. Right now I'm going to position that pole, make sure that it goes where I want it to, and then I'm going to adjust the figure again. So it's here, it's going down here, this way. This way right here, and I can actually stop it there. So it doesn't go all the way down. It has kind of a same angle than that one, but that's okay because I'm going to add another one, which is here. And it's also going to go slightly under the angle. So maybe I could push this a little bit more this way. And the reason is that I want to create a slightly different angle. Cool. This is a little better. So then I can hit this. It's going to go this way. Right here. Down and back. Behind. Yep. And then maybe I could add a little bit more of a, so it's attached differently, so perhaps it has this, and this right here, and then maybe some kind of a attachment here. So it looks a little richer. One, two. Okay, his hand is going to be here. So I can right now actually start pushing the figure a little bit more, right? So remember I mentioned actually previously that I need to make sure that I have that large element there, which is that it's not necessarily flag, it's just the symbols, right? The religious symbols. Just get rid of this. So they're supposed to help me to go through that man-made objects that are beautifully gilded. They have a lot of ornaments and so on and so forth. So we have that kind of a diagonal that goes through here and down, or pyramid rather, in the center together with cross. So I can push the cross even more, which would definitely improve it, but I have to be careful. It has to be darker than the face, so it can't get away, or it shouldn't, fight for attention. Right now, I think that these are a little too similar, right? So again, I have to start pushing this slightly different color, and then this is going to fall out of the favor. I can just push more and more into a background. That's going to be fine. That means that this needs to be developed a little bit more. I'll wait because I have a kind of a nice textures there, and I'm enjoying to look at these textures. So right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on the figure because it needs to be there right now properly. This is all kind of a still a sticky, so that's cool because I was painting it 2 days ago. Yeah, so that's another thing. I'm going to take a short break because I have to go and check something. So I'll be right back. Give me a second. Okay, back to business. Um, let me evaluate this for a second, how it looks. I needed to step away because I wanted to refresh my eyes. I'm doing the same thing that I'm suggesting you to do as well, because I'm looking at this for a long period of time. My eyes are adjusting to what they see, and then I cannot judge it accurately, I believe. So this is exactly the best time to take a little breather, and I'm on a different schedule than than the commercials that I set up, only because I was stepping out. I need to step out a little more often than once an hour. I would recommend you to do it every half an hour, maybe even in 15 minutes. And you can see me going back and forth all the time. That's important part, because it's a large painting. I have to look at it from a distance, otherwise it's not going to work. Yeah, the figure right now, it's the weakest point of the painting, this one right here. And if you've been following this stream for a while, 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago, this was the figure that was developed the most, and right now it's not the most. It was just I thought actually that I will not move it again, but I was wrong. So I'm back to my favorite thing, and that's scraping and softening the edges. Something that I actually there's soft edge is something that I first observed in Rembrandt. But I didn't understand what's happening, because you might think that, not even might think, it looks like Rembrandt has everything painted in, but it's more about that relationships, and that actually relationships between edges, and how one edge can really change the way how we perceive a painting. And there is no hard edge in Rembrandt's paintings. I mean, you might argue with me as much as you want, and I'm willing to retract this statement, but there is, okay, let me rephrase that. There is there's very few sharp edges, if I can even call it sharp edges, because I can give you the comparison with different paintings and different painters. They really worked with sharp edges, a little bit slightly different structure, and especially late Rembrandt. There is literally no sharp edge. And you might say, well, what about his eyes? Those are really just the soft edges that they wear. Properly executed. And you might actually check out the Richard Schmidt and his book. Richard Schmidt is really, really famous for description of his edges and the way how he thinks about edges and how that actually can be translated into a composition. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just getting rid of these textures, and I'm starting to see like underpaintings that the portrait was before and little pieces of the portrait, and I'm gonna take advantage of it because those are these happy accidents underneath, and it's giving me like a little different shape of that portrait, and it's by random, it's navigating me to create something something new perhaps. And when I say new, I mean, I have a specific way of paint, applying a pigment, and specific rotations that I naturally incline to. And by scraping and searching, it's just giving me this randomness out of nowhere. So I like to use that a lot. And I, often compare this to watercolors. Oh, let's just, there's a moment to iron this. Nice. Cool. So we have that as well. Okay. Let me just get rid of this. I don't know if this needs to be here anymore. Because right now it's just kind of, it has a feeling that he's holding that flag there, and I don't want that. It's breaking that illusion. Yeah. Oh, way better. Okay, I'm not gonna add anything there. This is how it's supposed to be. Yeah. If anything, maybe I could move these things. Okay, perhaps he's going to be there alone. And I'll move this right here so I continue this and then up direction. Because right now I'm creating too much of a hole there. Maybe they should attach his shoulder. You know what I mean? Like maybe it should go, because right now I'm creating a, okay. Yeah. I see what the problem is right now, and white feels. Those icon needs to go even more into background. So let's put them there. Let's make sure that they're barely visible. They're still going to be there, but they're not going to be. And if I need them, I can still bring them back, but right now they need to go into background. So they don't break that, they don't break that much. They're still there, but they're not going to create, and that's what I have a problem with, because look, I'm creating, let me just step away, visually, and I have to be careful about these things, because, again, I'm looking at this, I'm in the tunnel vision, I'm trying to paint everything, I'm trying to enrich the painting, which, means that I'm getting a little bit more into details. And when I talk about details, I mean getting a little bit more visual clarity. And look, this what was happening here, because even the clouds are moving like so, right? So I have to be careful about that. So this has to go away, and I have to attack this angle and this angle a little bit more. It's still supposed to help you to go there, but it shouldn't be circular motion, because I have a visual kind of a U shape right here, and then I go up, continue here, then I have a lighter area right here, and I have a darker spot in the middle. So this right now, this circle, it's fighting for attention here. And it's really difficult to see it if you stare at your painting for a long time. So perhaps even that cloud needs to go a little bit more into a background. So it shouldn't be as dark as it is right now. So let's see if that will help a little bit more, again, to push it. And I'm going to dry brush over it, right? So I'm not going to repaint it completely. I still want to keep it there because I kind of like it, but I'm just going to add little lighter value into it. So it doesn't, so it doesn't fight for attention that much. It's a simple adjustment, but it's very, very important. And then I should push really, really nice, kind of a warm. Again, a little bit more here right now. I need a little bit more here. To show that. Yep. Softening these edges here, because I don't want to have a sharp edge here. I still want to show that it exists there, but oops, okay, we can just use that as well. Then a little bit of here. And softening this, all this. So it really pushes back the background, and I can see those banners there. So this is what I meant when I said I want to add a little bit more details. These are the details that I'm talking about. And then maybe even connecting this a little bit more. Pushing it even lighter. It's still there. Because you're gonna have a hard time to miss it. But only when you get a little bit more up and close and personal with that painting. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to go, what's there? And I want you to kind of, go into it. It is still there, but it's not in your face. And yeah, that works better. And another thing is that I'm gonna push the banner a little bit more, this one, with another shape inside. So it's going to go boom here, and you're going up to that, where the book, it's even, book and the hand right now, it's the main focus of mine, or should be. With, if I want to push that man-made objects, because these ones are barely visible, barely perceivable here right now. Let me maybe get it even more into background. It's there, but it's really, really far away. And I spend a lot of time painting it there only to just get rid of it. That's okay. That's all good. Because right now I'm fine-tuning it. I'm really, really paying attention to what's happening with the background, how, it recedes into distance. So this is a front of this right here. So all this can actually go even closer on value. Closer value-wise, that's what I wanted to say. So it almost looks like it's a haze there. And then I'll push more contrast here. So I have the diagonal ready. A little bit more, yeah. So instead of creating circle right here, I'm going to push it all the way there. So this is gonna get a little lighter here. So I continue with that diagonal. And that could actually go a little bit more. Instead of, right now I'm switching from dry brush to glaze, to push it a little bit. It's not even a glaze, I'm just using a, yeah. And then I can unify it together a little bit more, and you can see how it's starting to work a little bit better. Oops, I'm sorry, I just hit the camera again. I'm trying to get as far away from the painting as I possibly can, because I want to see it as a whole. Yeah, there's going to be ad break. So if you're painting alongside me, that's going to be your time to take a short break, so you can then step away from the painting and have a chance to enclose this shape here so it doesn't leak in. So going back to what I was talking about, it's going to give you a chance to do the same thing that I did a couple seconds ago, and that's just excuse me, step away from a painting, step away from that tunnel vision. And then I really have to take and put my attention to the other side, because I was neglecting that. You remember I was talking about that I'm paying too much attention to the right side, and right now there's too much attention on the left side, so I have to go back to the right side, and then I can focus, and that's going to be the final touches. Then I can focus on two figures and just bring them forward as far as I can, as far as I possibly can. Yeah, that's exactly what I need to do, um, and much more. But it's slowly starting to shape itself. I think I'm squeezing maximum from this composition, and I'm afraid that if I push it even further, to start adding and developing it more, I don't know if I would be able to put all the necessary information there. The only thing that bothers me, and I'm still working on it, is the fact that I need something in the foreground, something more on the left side. Yeah, definitely. So we have a 30 seconds into ad break. So this is what I want you to do if you're painting alongside me. It's to just step away, relax your eyes, think about something other than this painting, let it go for 5 minutes, and then when you get back, you look at it and assess it again. Assess it again. Right, and then for those of you who are adamant about continue painting, please don't. No, be careful with that, because you're going to start really overworking one area, and then you can't really judge it as whole, as one whole painting, because that's what it is. It's one composition. It's not three different compositions. It's one big one. That could go even lighter. Softening it a little bit so it's not hard edge everywhere. I want to let it calm down a little bit, that sky, you know, so it doesn't fight for attention that much. It's still there, it's very important, but it doesn't fight for attention or break the illusion. Just to make it calm down a little bit. Soften transitions, so you know, so I don't have there that much of a that many and that much active abrupt value shifts. They're going to still be there visible through a texture, but they're not going to be that far apart when it comes to value. Rather I'm working with temperature and chroma shift. So you're still going to be able to see the progression, but it's not going to be as aggressive. And the unified one shape is going to continue. It's going to create a strong, beautiful diagonal from top left corner to I don't know, 3/4 down to a right corner. Because that's what it is. That's what the main that's what the wireframe for sculptors would be. That's the gesture for those who think about this as a figure. So I still want to keep that gesture there, and not only keep it there, I want it to be the main focus. This is a little too. And this is I'm dry brushing it, I'm smudging it, I am glazing. Because I don't want but also I don't want it to be that far apart, but I also don't want it to be clouds. I want to have the impression of clouds and or sky, but I don't want it to be literal. So I'm looking at that from a distance and I'm thinking abstractly about this and what's going to help the shape and what's going to destroy it. So I do little adjustments, I step back. It's almost imperceivable, but still it's going to be. Let me change that, maybe a little bit vibrant. So I'm adding a little bit more chroma here. I'm keeping it, I'm making it lighter value. So instead of being it dark value against the light, I'm making it more saturated, more chromatic against less chromatic. So it's still going to give you a difference, but it's not going to be as prominent. Because I created this motion and I started to feel that this is kind of circling on its own and that's circling on its own. So I'm going to connect it right now from top left corner to a bottom right corner with that strong diagonal. But not with the line, with just a value shift. Not with the line, not with the value shift. Right now, it's only strictly through soft transitions between warm and cool, same value, and chroma. So it's more chromatic and less chromatic. And the only value shift is going to be, as it's going lighter here, it could go slightly darker there. So it's like a gradient from there to there. Because I want you to, again, go into a composition, right? It's a strong diagonal. And with that strong diagonal that is visible, I'm going to make a gradient as well. And you might be thinking those are silly adjustments. Yeah, they are silly, but that's what I think, or that's what I believe that the making painting rich means, or that's what I meant by saying that I'm going to make a painting rich. I'm going to work on a detail. This is that detail that for my aesthetics changes that painting it, making it a little more rich, a little bit more enhanced, and pushing it on that another level. And I won't be able to say whether or not I'm right unless I put it there, right? So that's the name of the game. If I don't like it, I can always repaint or paint on top of it or adjust it or, scrape things completely, sand it down, use a razor blade to really, really just smooth the surface completely. And you can see like it's slowly, step by step, calming down a little bit, being still visible, but less aggressive, less into your face. It is there. You see that diagonal, but right now it's more abstract shape. So I'm going from, a little too impressionistic, or even better. This is not even impressionistic. This is like a segmented abstract shape into a little bit more coherent abstract shape. So within the abstraction, I felt that it's fragmented, so it's broken into small pieces. And right now I'm trying to put that mosaic together in that continuous shape. I don't want to sacrifice that interest in that background. I just want to make sure that you see diagonal first, and then you start, oh, those are clouds and they have a different colors, right? So I'm trying to keep the hierarchy going. And that's what happens, to all of us. I think when we stare too much on the painting, we're trying to add more detail, and that's what's going to make it better. More detail. That's what's going to even more detail. What's going to make it better. And yes, it will make it better in terms of clarity. Of, I don't know, like you're going to say that, oh, this is 100% that person, and I'm 100% that this is, I don't know, my friend, because I painted him. But that's going to make sense to you only, and the viewer is going to be like, disconnected, might be disconnected, random viewer. And you can even think of this as a designs. There are designs that they are timeless, and then there are designs that are fashionable, temporary. Diagonal, it will never, in painting, diagonal will never, hopefully, like there is a couple, 100 years, 1,000 years where we have a proof of diagonals being very strong and powerful in visual imagery. So I don't think it's going to go anyway anytime soon. So if everything is wrong with this painting and no one likes it, and it does not communicate the message that I attend to, I would be disappointed. True. It doesn't mean that I failed. It means that I did not describe myself adequately, comprehensively. No, I did not describe myself appropriately. And it's not about being perfect, because there's so many imperfections here, and not even in my paintings. In paintings in general, there's an enormous amount of different. Hey, Andre, you're amazing. Oh, Token Princess, welcome, thank you. I also send you that permission that you requested for viewing that photograph that I took from the studio. There is only one rule that I have there. Please, since there is a lot of students there and there are students' work, and also it is a exhibition that's supposed to be seen, not through the photographs, but being present there. Please do not share it with anybody. It's for your personal viewing only. That's why I put the permissions there. So It's not because I want, it's just for it's not covered, it's not blocked by the paid wall, nothing like that, that it doesn't work for me, and it never will. It's only for purposes of making sure that IPs and intellectual properties and copyrights are with people that actually created it. Awesome. I hope that you are painting alongside me, or are you just checking in on the progress? Okay, so I'm keeping that diagonal there. I think I have to put it a little lower because I can't reach up there. Maybe I can. There, now we're talking. Because I want to soften these areas right here. And these are really, truly imperceivable adjustments, but they are going to bond together, and that diagonal is really going to shine right there, because that's what I want. 4 a.m. here, my paint later. Okay, all right. I forgot that you are on a completely different time schedule than I am. And especially these days, because here in St. Petersburg, we are already experiencing a full day period. It's just sun goes down for a while around 11 p.m. and then at 2 a.m. it's already a daylight. So my schedule is completely, it's a weird sensation. So I don't even know what time is it right now, because sometimes your body and your brain can orient throughout the time of day kind of naturally because of the position of the sun. Here, I have no idea. First of all, I'm inside, so I can't see the position of the sun. And second thing is that it's just when it's midnight or when it's a lunch, the sun is in the completely it's weird. It's strange. You have to experience it. I can't really describe it with words. So I'm inviting you to experience it here, or maybe in Canada. I'm pretty sure that they have that kind of a thing, or in Sweden, Finland, Norway. That would be a great places as well to experience this. I think that Helsinki, it's the capital city of Finland. It's approximately on the same. The light staying around so long. Yeah, it's almost 24 hours. It's just, I think it's like 3 hours that you can't really see it. It's behind the horizon. But it almost feels like it never gets completely dark to the point that, it's like during the winter. So the diagonal, yeah, it's slowly starting to work a little bit more. We unified this a little bit. pushing that diagonal. Maybe right now I can work a little warmer. But I'm keeping it same value. Maybe a little bit of medium, because I want to push this through here to connect it, like so, and then soften these edges. Because no, even though if you want to do it, don't put hard edges into your background if it's supposed to be in the distance. And it's sky after all. There is no, So I'm softening these transitions completely, so they almost blend together. And I'm squinting my eyes a lot, actually, trying to determine the progression and where it should go lighter, where it should go darker. Light and dark, I'm sorry, I'm just talking about that. It's not about light and dark. Where it is more saturated or more chromatic, where it is less chromatic, and also where it is warmer and where it is cooler. So when I squint my eyes, I can see which areas are working together as a unified shape and which aren't. It's the same principle as when you are, when you are squinting and you're trying to make that it's like a similar idea, not similar, it's exactly the same idea when we talk about shadows and we're trying to unify the shadows, or when we basically, or not basically, when we trying to simplify complex shapes. So it's easier for us to a little bit more of that blueness going through. It's easier for us to work with proportionally. It's easier for us to manipulate those shapes in the basic stage, and so on and so forth. And I'm doing the same thing here. The only thing that's happening, like I said, and I'm gonna repeat myself over and over again, it's just like a visual, how would I put this? It's only about the chroma and a temperature, not about value. All this, when I'm squinting here, it's almost exactly the same value. The differences are in paint application, which means some it's thicker, some it's softer, and then it's about that chroma, and then temperature. This might be a little too warm here, so let me just cool it down a little bit. But I'm not covering it completely. I'm letting that pigment underneath shine through, so it's creating that, it's like an orange underneath and blue on top of it, and it's creating that kind of a interesting, it's almost like a pointillism. This is a little too harsh here, so let me soften it. It's still there, but it's not going to be as prominent. And I'm doing this on the large scale, so it takes a lot of time. But it's the same thing that I'm going to do with the grass, with the hand, with the portraits. I'm going to go through this and I'm going to determine which areas are going to be soft, which are going to be soft transitions, and which ones are going to be. Maybe let me just give it a little bit of warmth here. And let's see what's going to happen if I add a little bit of light right here. I kind of feel that that's what it's missing to balance it out properly. And I'm going to leave the space to put that figure that I wanted to here as well. Soften it up again. Make it softer. Just pushing that diagonal between them. Yeah, nice. So I'm hitting, and I'm not doing it through the whole thing, right? I'm leaving it, you know, it's not supposed to be one continuous line. This is not the graphic design. This is a painting. This is a illusion of space. And again, the soft transitions are in the distance, right? And then a little harsher in the grass, because I don't think about grass and the sky in a different way. It's just it's a flat surface that has, you know, how would I put this? Simplification, it's a flat surface. Both are the flat surface. They're, you know, they're going into a background. Right now, what I feel is that this, it's going that direction, the top part, but here I need to make it go away. I have a cool area right here and warm here. It's kind of pushing it forward. So the back part wants to go forward, and the front part, it's receding into background, so it's creating a weird feeling. So I have to make that work a little better. So I could actually try to do it right away with a little bit of that cooler pigment that I have on my brush. The same way that I did with the icons in the back. So this is all in the background. And the reason why this is warm so much, or warmed up so much, is because the underlayer here is warm, because there was that warm figures in the background. So you can see how impactful that underpainting is there, and how much it can shift so let me just cool it down a little bit so it recedes in the background. See, it's starting to work a little better. It's almost imperceptible. And that's what I want. I don't want you to see it. I want you to be there without interrupting the overall feeling of that painting. All these transitions here, they're so far away that you wouldn't be able to see the difference between the sky and mountains and the land, just a little bit. Maybe that's too much, but that's okay. I can always scrape it away. Oops. Yep. Need to push it even more here. I wish the guy holding the white flag was pulling a wooden cart. Yeah, he should. He should. Unfortunately, there is a steep hill right there. I was thinking about that. I was taking it into consideration, but unfortunately, that would be. Maybe I could do it. I don't know. I'm afraid that they wouldn't be able to do it up such a steep hill. I don't know. It's just I put this guy right here, pulling something from behind. So I at least a little bit of a. Less beard on the main guy was a great choice. Thank you. Yeah, I think so. I think that was important part because it just made them too symmetrical. Like they were both with the beards and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's what I felt because I wanted to put the hoodie on top of him, so both of the faces are covered, or both of the head. That's going to be a difficult sentence to say. Both of these figures have something on their head, so that's making them similar. Having beards making them similar. So I needed to create some a separation between them, and I think that also the lack of beard showed the under chin a little bit more, or the lower part underneath, which kind of creates that feeling of he's looking up, or we're looking up towards him, right? Because you remember I mentioned that this is our somewhere around that, that's a focal point. This is where we stand. These are the figures. They are looking directly towards us. And here the same thing. We're going to see a little bit more of his under chin, or the lower, or the bottom plane of a chin rather. And I'm starting to see a lot of reflection there. So I'll have to move the canvas again towards because sun. There's another thing. I have a enormous amount of warm reflection from the park that it's outside. It's so green and fresh. It's right after rain, so it's almost like annoying green outside. So everything is getting affected by that. Even my camera has a struggle to actually work with the colors right now. I can tell. Softening it there, yeah. And it needs a little bit more. Unification here, because this was too disconnected, and it looks cool that it's disconnected, but then it's taking too much attention from the important part, which is a focal point. And I have to be careful with that because I have a lot of stuff, a huge distance. So some areas they really have to go and be less dominant. Hot weather starting here on the west coast of America. Yeah, I can imagine. I used to live in LA, and it was really demanding time for me. I'm not really a big fan of a super warm weather. I'm more like a four-season guy. Either it's very draining. Yeah, it is very draining. It's just I remember in LA, I was just I after 3.5 years, I went home uh, for a shorter period of time to make sure that my visa and the legal documents are all, in check, in place, where how they're supposed to be, and air without the dust, from the uh, um, from the sand, from the coast, and just the like city that was like central part that was really overheating, and then being at home, which is like Los Angeles is a huge city, and I'm from a small city which we call and you might even call it a village probably, or town, 40,000 people. I was so like, it was a rain, and then after the rain, that the air is so clean, so kind of a nice, fresh. So I was missing it a lot. That being said, I like I think that people that enjoy warm weather and warm climate, um, LA is a place to be. I think it has everything that you need for when it comes to that, like a pleasant weather. Sometimes it can get in September, October, it gets really really hot, like unbearable. But usually it's like these between 25 Celsius to 30 as a maximum, throughout the year, um, and it's not um, uh, it's dry, not like in San Diego, where it's really humid, and I hate that the warm humidity. That's kind of that drives me insane. That drives me crazy. So when it comes to weather, I think that Los Angeles has a really really nice weather. For those of you that prefer the controlled warm climate. Okay, so I have this, and right now we have to work on that guy with the white banner that he's holding, because that's the figure that I'm missing there. That's the figure that I'm missing. So let me see that. I live in two-season area, winter and spring. Um, I've never lived in that kind of area. Well, actually, St. Petersburg is kind of winter and spring. But then during the summer, like right now, May, June, end of the, like the June could be like they could have 3-4 weeks, like a nice warm weather, really warm, to the point that people used to leave the city, because it's just the city. This city is not ready for warm climate. Like when it gets warm here, it's really warm. It's unbearable warm. Like buildings are not ready for that. The streets, and just yes, St. Petersburg does seem close in weather. Yeah, it's just one thing. It's right next to a bay, or like a ocean. It's close here, so it's extremely windy here. Well, they actually chose it because it was a nice position for a port. So they were building enormous amount of ships here, and so it was a good kind of a weather, windy weather for ships to move and sail. Actually, not move, sail. Um, and it was close to that very port heavy areas like Netherlands and Denmark, and then France, UK, because it's that, the Sweden. So there was a business flourished here actually. It was a very, I think it was a key moment in the history with Peter the Great. Is actually the city is named after him because he built it here from nothing. There's a lot of stories about him. It's actually interesting to read about him and to then see what they actually built because of him. So yeah, the figure needs to be placed right now. It's very important. I think it needs to be wider, a little bigger. But then I like that shape of being not necessarily mysterious, but like a cartoonish little bit. I like the cartoony figures in the background because I don't have anything to play with, just the silhouettes. So yeah, let me see if I have something to add, some examples. Of that kind of a cartoony silhouettes. I can't do them very gracefully, or what would be the word? I'm not as good as some, animators, but I actually learned a lot from animators when it comes to position figures, believe it or not. Because they're always thinking about the motion. If I move the hand this way, it might not work properly. I don't have any sketches here that I could use. Let me see. Are we going to invent that pose from nothing again? Okay, well, feels like it. I don't see any sketches. And what if I choose? What if I take the one that I have already from my own painting? Yeah, why don't I just steal from myself? The main figure from the right side composition. I think that could work. Just need to, yeah, oh yeah, that could actually work. So I am using a bunch of figures from that previous painting, not previous, the one that I have at home, and adjusting it and working with it. I think I already forgot where you were a couple of months ago. Was it in Latvia? No, it was Poland. Trash memory. I remember originally you are from Slovakia and you like soup. Soups are popular there. Yeah, I'm originally in Slovakia and I was in Slovakia previously. It was just a different city, close to, or in the. It's actually that city is very close to a geographical center um, of Europe as a landmass, not Europe Union, but Europe as a landmass. That means surrounded by ocean, and then it's cut by Ural mountains. Yeah, the hooded guy looks like a guy pulling a card from the last painting. Yeah, exactly. Same vibe. Yeah, definitely. So that's what I'm thinking, that I might actually use it here in this painting, and it might actually work. So let's place him there. Let's figure this out. But before I start doing it, I think I should, because I've been here for 4 hours, and I need to take a lunch break, and then I'll probably work on that in part 2 today. But let me just maybe get feel for it here, this way. Then it could go right here. It could go right here. And then this way it attaches here, and then this could be a darker area right here. One hand it's right there, and another one it's right here. I think that might actually work. That might actually work. That might actually work, and I could put him into that background there. My favorite part is the guy on the right who looks like he's carrying buckets of water. It's amazing. You really show the motion, carrying something heavy. Oh, thank you. That's the one active figure, because everybody looked too destroyed or ruined by the difficulties, and I wanted to show a little bit of hope. And it's not the hope in terms of like they are hopeless, but in that kind of a group of people, and I'm pretty sure that you remember we talked about this a lot. There are different stages. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenging. Sometimes it's easier. These different sections that they worked through or went through on this journey. And also, it's just it does not necessarily show that some of them are tired and some of them aren't. It also shows that throughout the stage, throughout the journey, sometimes you feel that you want to give up, and sometimes you need to see someone around you that give you the little bit more of like uplifting spirit. It's like, it's not over. We still have a journey, and we're not going to just, give up because of difficult time, right? So I wanted to show the difference between that as well. He just needs to be a little bit more developed, because he's the figure that is closest to us when it comes to, after these two. So I'm really going to push him a little bit more. Right now it doesn't feel like that, only because this guy has a little bit more saturation and he's popping out a little bit more forward. But I needed to have someone who is pulling. You remember we talked about these figures also in the previous iteration of a painting, the one that it's in Slovakia home, that I have a different figures in a different stage. and it's a different state. If it's not a different, it wouldn't. It's not like it's a different mindset. No, let me rephrase that. It's not like it would be like they would be. Uh, we are all different, and sometimes, not sometimes. That's why the group work has such an important impact on creating something bigger, because you have all these elements that you as a one person can't really, and I'm not saying you personally, one person cannot achieve, because I can't be the best writer, the best cinematographer, the best actor, the best, even though I think in my head that I could be the best from them all, but then I can either focus on one thing that I'm doing very, very well, or there's this, jack of all trades, master of none. And I want to show that there's a specific, people were chosen because they had their specific qualities that they will add to a sum, rather than just being all working against each other. And you can see this even like a sports metaphors I can bring with the football players. It's not about, you always have one person that leads that group. In this case, you have two, but there was one was stronger than the other in terms of, let's say, pushing forward, and another one was carrying the burden of books, right? That's what I'm trying to show here. But it does not necessarily mean that one day you can't feel that you are a little bit more leading and pushing, and another day you need to be pushed. Is that baby breath flowers growing in the grass? I don't assign them, and I don't look on them as a specific flowers right now. It's only just a shape that I need to continue developing here. So I'm just placing a visual marks on the canvas for myself, and then I will develop whatever flowers that I need there. Or it doesn't need to be flowers. It can be like I don't know. It could be what's the name of that? It could be weed. And when I say weed, I mean literally weed. That grows in between the grass. So I did not assign them any specific. Remember I talk about, I work abstract, impressionism, and then naturalism. So this is completely abstract right now. It's an abstract concept, an abstract shape that I created with kind of a little bit of impressionistic brushstrokes, and the last stage is going to be, okay, I'm going to assign them a specific shape and specific position, and how they move in, how will they help the composition. So that's the movement that I'm going to create, and then I'm going to find out that, oh, I need a little bit more darker, a little bit more, I don't know, wider, or a little bit more bluer or greener or redder, whatever flowers, whatever hue I need for the harmonizing a composition. So I don't really look them up when you're relaxing. Okay, I'll definitely check them out. Thank you for suggesting it. I'll check if they are actually native to the region as well, because that's another important part. Thank you, and you rest a little bit, and then I hope I'll see you in the part 2. Since it's a 4 a.m. At your location, and we're gonna get into that ad break in 3 minutes. So I don't think they are. You know what? Here's the thing. I can actually get the inspiration with the shape out of them, and they don't need to be exactly because I'm not a botanist. I'm not creating a book. So it could be just, like I said, I can leave them in the stage of impressionism. Even they want me to be specific with these. We'll see. There's always way around to create. This is why we call it a creative discourse, because I have to find the creative way of implementing certain things here. So I appreciate that these suggestions from you guys. So it's awesome. That's exactly why shared studio is such a beneficial. Okay, I will. I promise I will. It's one more month and then I have to go back home, so I'm just going to squeeze as much as I can from this experience and also from this painting. We're not that far away, it seems like, but there is a lot of work here. I wish I have two more months, 3 more months, half a year, but it's not possible. Maybe I could add a little bit of land there behind. Just a little bit of the warmth. Kind of feels like it could benefit from that. Right here, I want a little bit more of that. Just a little bit. Yeah, just a bit. Time flies. Yeah, time flies extremely fast, so I have to push a little bit more. I'm right before the finish line, so don't forget to take a break, because I think we are in ad break right now. Yeah, let's put that figure there. I think that's going to work. Right, and let's put a let's find out if this could work. Creative discourse. What if a guy holding a red book had a bookmark banging from the book, dangling from the book in pages, thrown over his arm a little? Bookmark could have beats or charm in ads. Catch you next time. Yeah, actually, you are absolutely right with these things. I'm still in the process of figuring it out how the book is going to look. I was thinking not only that, I was thinking to bring a little bit more ornaments there, a little bit more of that a feeling of like it's a rich book or expensive book. I need to make it also a little thicker, I think. So there's a lot of improvement. Unfortunately, the bookmark probably would be right here on the top, and we wouldn't be able to see it because it's behind. But that's more like a not that of an issue. But what I'm showing, and it's not that visible, is that the pages are not even. So some pages are sticking out. So they have notes right there within. But these are the really the like final touches that are going to that I'm going to start placing at the end, because I want to first get that full impression, and the compositional impression, the movement. You remember how much I'm about that movement when it comes to composition. So that's what I'm focusing right now first, before anything else. But you're absolutely right with the more information on the book. It needs to be a little bit more a little bit more interesting, a little bit more towards us. Actually, previously, while I was painting these things, I was talking about that this is going all the way back. This is a little bit closer to us. This is closest. There's still going to be ornament right here. I'm waiting so the pigment sits down a little bit so I can paint on top of it. And then the full-on book adjustments are going to be here. And I can start, I can maybe try implement that. I was also thinking about the buckles over the book, because they used to have these buckles there in old books in 10 or 9th century rather. So these are all great suggestions. I'm still not sure which one of them is going to be the best. Another thing is that I have a problem with the book ends on the bottom right here, and then on the top ends right there. So that needs to be adjusted. I'm still working with the position of the book. It's not set perfectly in that. I still giving myself a room to move it a little bit according to composition, and I want to really pimp it up a little bit. Also, that goes for this one. This needs to be ornamented a little bit more. I'm going to do little drawings, little small, like how would you call it? Like the progression, like panels, like in the relief used to be. So that's why I'm saying that it looks like it's we're there, but there is so much more work that could be added to this to make it really, really rich in terms of content to look at there. But very important part, no matter how much detail you put there, unless the main composition works, no one's gonna care. Everybody's just gonna go, pass through that painting. So that's what I'm focusing on, because that's what, even right now, when we think about it in terms of a school, in terms of the academy rather, that's what they're focusing on as well. They know that we can paint the details there, but they want to see if the painting works as a whole. Because if that doesn't work, nothing is going to work. Absolutely nothing is going to work. And we have a lot of examples in Impressionism and then Expressionism actually as well. uh, um, what's the word that I want to use? We have examples in expressionism and impressionism um, with these abstract unfinished paintings that they still work on that compositional I needed to hear that. Yes, agreed. I focus on detail and need more composition training. And it is difficult for me as well. I am consciously reminding myself. I have a checklist that I go through in my head. And it actually, you can write it down on the piece of paper to help you. And you just like, I have abstract, impressionism, naturalism, rinse and repeat. Whenever I am too much into naturalistic things, I scrape it down and I start building on top of it again, and then scrape it down and build on top of that. And that's how I building up and improving painting towards the final stage. And you can not only, that's not only what I'm talking about, the grass was completely different. The figures were in a different position. This wasn't here at all. These figures were two and they were in the corner right here. It's just everything is flowing and moving, and I need to scrape it, I need to paint it there, and then I need to scrape it again and paint it there, and you know, it's never-ending cycle. Well, it ends at one point, but that's the way how I think, how I improve a painting, how I move forward with that. With these ideas, because they're complicated to imagine all at once. And then I cannot imagine everything that painting needs, because truly, to be honest, I don't know what painting needs to look better at the beginning of first brush strokes. It looks completely different at the beginning than it looks right now. And I went through these because I'm trying to upload videos. I uploaded 2 videos already, day 1 and day 2, and it's completely different today. It's completely different. It's not worse. It's richer. That's what it's more information there. It didn't change that much, but the key, you know, elements moved and improved based on that visual on that visual experience that I have when I'm looking at it. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm, you know, no, I'm 95% times I'm wrong, but I need to see it to make sure that I'm wrong. So focusing on composition is it's something that I enjoy. I enjoy solving problems with composition way more than I enjoy painting. So yeah, but doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it, or anyone else for that matter. You know, it's just it's my preference. Some when you think about let's say what would be the best example? Whistler, famous painter, he said art for art's sake, right? So he just painted nice things without the meaning. He said that none of that is important. He was looking at, I think that he was one of the first that just went completely abstract with his paintings. He was, you know, after, or, you know, surrounded by Impressionism, and then later on Expressionism. But it's that very famous painting of his mom. And he said that it doesn't really matter what figure was there. He just painted a nice painting. If I'm not mistaken, I read about that painting that he used his mom because his model canceled on him. So, and he didn't care whether it's mom or sister or random person from the street. He was thinking only about how to make it look nice. So you don't have to focus on all these things if you don't want to. And that's the beauty of art in general, that you can paint and you can focus on, or you can bring to my attention whatever you feel that is important. So yeah, and I think I'm going to leave you with this as the end for part 1 today. And I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to get something to eat. I'm going to clean myself. I'm going to clean my palette because it's already starting to be dirty, and I'm over mixing the pigments. And at this stage, I need a clean pigments to put on top of this wireframe that I have right here, to start bringing that saturation, that opacity, that chroma in places where I want. This is going to, dry slowly, and it's going to, merge with the background. And I know this not because it's not necessarily that this what would happen with your painting. It's the way how I paint. It's the style or it's the process of applying these layers and using a specific set of pigments that later on either stay like here, they stay really saturated, or they just kind of move into painting by that process of sinking in, because some canvases are more absorbent, some are less, and so on and so forth. That's the technical stuff. So I'm going to take a short break. Hopefully I'll be able to join you again after that short break, and we can continue painting alongside each other. So I still have that, the problem with the internet connection. I'm not sure what's going to happen afternoon or later today. And also I want to make sure that if you are interested in more information about this particular painting, there is the link for Discord down there, because there's I have a process there with the pictures, so you can check that out. All right, take care, bye.